Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to be talking about our main impressions of 6.4, because we did manage to explore it all already. So we were done within like 30 hours since it came out, so it was going pretty hard. So it also means I was kind of trying to rush through it, and I definitely know that even though overall the exploration wasn't too bad, I believe I used something a bit over 2 Odin's worth of items, probably a bit more. But the experience was cool, and a lot of those mistakes were just on me and me trying to rush it and not wanting to redo path and just kind of like pushing through often, even though I had like made bad decisions by bringing in wrong teams or something like that. But overall I don't think we did too bad, and I definitely must say, yeah, that it was quite fun. It kind of carries on in the tradition of 6.3. Just like in 6.3, 6.4 does not have any gates, so that's cool. There are also no global nodes as such, and I did like that concept probably more than in 6.2 and 6.1. And there is an interesting way all of these quests are built. So if we jump in on any kind of like quest, any path, when we take down the go down the path, we can see that global nodes all go out from this one certain mini boss throughout the path, and this one fight is kind of like extra jacked. Basically they have much more health, much more PI, and that's kind of like a mini boss, and there is a mini boss on every single lane before you get to fight the boss, and then that's it. You, after the path, you straight jump to the final boss, and there's no ambushes, no nothing like that. So the base idea is kind of like simple. You deal with one type of set of main node. The champions can still have their own individual nodes that will differ from fight to fight, but the main idea, for instance, is obviously the whole lane goes with like Bane, Power Shield and Limber, and then these champions can have additional nodes when you check on them. So you do need to kind of like read up and be quite a bit careful. I think this path isn't an example of that, but later on in the quest I get additional nodes as well. And that format I actually must say that I definitely objectively do like, because it kind of like gives you a clear layout. You know that there are 6 paths, that means that there are going to be 6 different mini bosses. All of these mini bosses will have a lot to do with the same kind of like lane that they are on, plus they're gonna have additional nodes, just like here. For instance, if you take a look at Venom, he has the Bane, Power Shield and Limber, but once you take a look at the Morningstar mini boss, Morningstar will have more nodes on. It's going to be Matador and Empowered Immunity. And these mini bosses can be extremely tough fights. There are several that definitely come to mind. There is a King Groot in, I think, 642 that is really tricky, and you need to be prepared for it. This Venom the Duck is really hard as well, especially if you don't entirely know what you're doing. And this Gwenpool can definitely be tricky as well. And mini bosses are probably going to be the ones that kind of like stop you if you're not prepared for them. So my first piece of advice is, when you read what kind of path you are about to be doing, definitely scout ahead, and most importantly scout the mini boss fight, because outside of the mini boss you can probably push through with some boosts and decent champions, so on and so forth. There are very few fights on the lanes themselves that will completely destroy you, but these mini bosses are quite tough, and you do need to know what you're getting yourself into, and you do need to be prepared. For instance, like here we can see that we have Do You Bleed and Bleed Vulnerability node, and that's perfectly fine. So I think I'm just going to bring in any bleed champion, such as, I don't know, Blade or Nick Fury or whatever, but going up against that Gwenpool, there is also clapback node. So it means if you bring in a champion that inflicts bleed but is not bleed immune itself, you will die extremely quickly. So that is completely kind of different set of abilities you must cover, and you must be ready and able to deal with that. Otherwise you're just going to clear the entire path, you're going to get to it, get stuck, and you're going to have to redo it. So I did like that. That is definitely also, in my opinion, fairly valuable advice. And yeah, so be prepared, read up the mini boss before you tackle the node. All in all, this system, this layout definitely is much more preferred than 6.2 with the gates, obviously, or even 6.1 with the global nodes, where the entire quest is kind of like under the global node, and then it will already significantly affect your options, and then you have to deal with these individual nodes. As for encounters themselves, they are jacked. They are jacked to the point where it doesn't really matter whether you're using 5-star rank 5, 6-star rank 2, or even 6-star rank 3. For vast majority of the time, if you make a mistake, you're gonna be dead. And they are punishing because they have extremely huge HPs and extremely huge attacks as well. So if we go in a final quest, we can take a look at a random champion and a random lane. Let's take, I don't know, who is an average. Let's take a look at Rogue. I don't think I can see the attack yet, so I actually need to jump to a fight. But either way, the point is they are absolutely jacked. So let's jump to path A and see what's happening there. And yeah, these are more or less the most jacked opponents you can see in kind of regular type of content, which makes sense, but make no mistake. And this is kind of like a warm-up fight. 12k attack, 220. This isn't even that much. There are a lot of opponents with higher attacks there. I had seen 18k attack there, 300 something k health and stuff like that. So there are some really crazy opponents. So be ready, be prepared, and yeah, that is definitely something to keep in mind. All in all, about the bosses though, I definitely liked pretty much all of the boss designs, especially the Grandmaster obviously, but I'm not going to be discussing Grandmaster too much because I'm going to leave that for a separate video, because Grandmaster, in my opinion, is pretty much a phenomenal fight design and one of the, if not the best fight ever designed in this game, in my opinion. That is a high praise, and I will definitely try to justify it in a separate video discussing this fight. I have loads of videos to make nowadays. I'm going to do guides where I'm going to be describing quest path per path, boss encounters, and then we're going to do a bunch of Grandmaster and stuff and so much more. Either way, the bosses themselves, 5 out of 6 bosses are wonderful. Grandmaster is a great fight, highly adapted. Captain Marvel movie, Thor Ragnarok, and Iceman. Darkhawk is a bit too cheeky for my liking. Now, ironically also, it was one of the easier bosses for you to clear if you are really good at Quaking, because Quake is a fantastic encounter, and most of the times, unless I was like playing dead tired, I managed to solo him with Quake. Now, I have seen Human Torch do really well, and another champion that can probably solo this guy quite easily, especially if you run Cosmic Boost, is Corvus Glaive. The one time I brought in Corvus, I only had him at like 50 or 40% health, and I came basically 3 hits away from soloing that guy. I just ran out of health before I could manage to land in a couple of hits and drop my level 2, and that would have finished it. So Corvus is a viable option. Obviously you're going to have to intercept, but that's just it. You can intercept the Darkhawk without taking any lights or mediums in block. Just block the level 1s, intercepting him again, push yourself to level 2, drop that massive level 2, and you're going to be good. So if you can intercept the Darkhawk, is kind of like doable with a really high damage output champion where you don't have to knock him down, or you need like Human Torch, or you need like Quake. Pretty much Quake's probably by far the best answer. When it comes to Iceman, basically anything works that has cold snap immunity. Thor Ragnarok, pretty much anything works. There isn't anything like too... It's a tricky fight, but it's not kind of exclusive of champions. You can use pretty much any champion that you choose to. Captain Marvel movie, just bring in a Mystic or anybody that deals energy damage and you're going to be pretty much fine. Highly adapted, you just need to deal with the Unstoppable, and important to remember that he does not have a level 3. So long as you can ignore the Unstoppable, nothing else kind of like matters. He has Vigor, so he's going to be healing some. If you can reverse the heal, perfect. He's going to get power gain, but again, it doesn't matter if you can deal with Unstoppable. So She-Hulk did fantastic for me. Vast majority of the clears, She-Hulk just soloed it. Then you can bring in Mystic champions with Nullify and Mystic Dispersion. You can bring in Stealth Suit Spider-Man, Captain America Infinity War, a bunch of options. I think it's a well-designed fight, not a problem at all. And Grandmaster is a definitely really great fight encounter. In fact, I would go as far as to say that 6.4 bosses at large are actually much easier than 6.3 bosses, because 6.3 bosses are tough. And probably even 6.2 bosses, because yeah, these bosses, for most of them, unlike the previous chapters, they were like really kind of good cheese tactics. Like if you bring in Ghost against Iceman, it's an easy fight typically, especially if you synergized up. Captain Malin movie, super easy. She goes down extremely quickly with Mystic Champions hidered up to it as well, kind of like a really fun encounter. And Grandmaster, awesome fight. So yeah, I think overall the game team did 6.4 justice. I did think they outdid themselves if they compare it to 6.3, 2, and 1. I think it was hard. I also think it was challenging. A lot of the nodes were extremely kind of encouraging but not exclusive of the champions. And what I mean by that, there were several ways how you could decide to approach these fights. For instance, there was a Vivified. Where is it? Is this one Vivified? Yeah, Masochism and Vivified. So opponents have a lot of power gain, so you can choose to go in with a power control, like magic or whatever, which is fine. You can choose to bring in Ghost and push opponents level 3 and just eat the level 3s, which is also a perfectly viable strategy. Or you can choose to use champions like Void or whoever to reverse the Masochism and work your way through that. Sorry, Vivified means you cannot use power control, but the point still stands. That's my bad. I corrected myself. Do not go to comment section about Vivified. Either way, point is there are always kind of like multiple different ideas how you can approach these fights. You can kind of like try and brute force your way through with your regular suspects like Corvus and Ghost, and just kind of like deal as much damage as quickly as you can, get through the fight, go off to the next one. Or you can try methodically counter the nodes and kind of like get benefit from some certain abilities. So for most part, outside of like a couple of annoying lanes, I definitely like these fight designs. I think there are a lot of good things about these fights, and I think they're finally getting to learn quite a bit. This is a bad example, by the way. This is a bad example. This is a bad node. Shouldn't be in there. That's gonna sting. Is a horrible node. But like here, Arc Overlord, Lionheart, and Mirror Image. There are 79 different ways how you can approach many different champions you can use, and I like that type of content. I really do. I do not like any nodes where basically you deal no damage or you need to bring in X, Y, or Z. I like when Kabam gives us options, and for that I respect 6.4, and I think it's a really good piece of content. As I said, when I was clearing it, a lot of times I felt as if my roster is being challenged, but at the same time I felt it's like an unnecessary privilege, and I felt as in if I had to, I could just bring in Ghost for a lot more fights than I did, or if I had to, I could just bring in Corvus for a lot more fights than I did. But when I was clearing it, I was kind of trying to play a bit more by the rules and try and counter the nodes. There's a lot of stuff you can just Ghost and Corvus or Omega Red and just use your regular suspects as well. Just deal a lot of damage quickly, or deal with the nodes. And that I definitely do like. That I definitely do support. And yeah, I think that rewards issue aside, and I still think that the rewards are bad. The rewards are extremely bad. Kabam did a good job. Not good enough to kind of like redeem Act 6 overall, but 6.4 was probably the best chapter in Act 6 in terms of being really challenging, but at the same time fun. Not exclusive, but inclusive to many different champions. And I will obviously be doing many different breakdowns, but for now I just wanted to say that yes, I liked 6.4. I enjoyed my time in it. I will be running through it all once again and trying to do it like properly, with little to no item use, and kind of try and counter the nodes and explore different options, so on and so forth. Avoid using Ghost, for instance, and Corvus and Quake, I guess. Just to make it more relatable to majority of the people watching. So yeah, anyways, where was I? I tend to lose my train of thought a bit whenever I start talking about Quake and Ghost. All of that being said, I still think the rewards suck, unfortunately. I still think Abyss is far more valuable investment for your account. And if you are limited on your resources, time or units or items, Abyss is far better investment for your time and money. Go do Abyss and then come back. That is still my suggestion. Because Act 6.4, it's not complete BS, how people say. It's fun. The Grandmaster fight's actually really cool and fun, and a lot of it is interesting. But when it comes to how much time it takes, because it is long, opponents are really healthy, the fights take quite a while, and there's quite a lot to explore. Abyss is where it's at, and that is what you should focus if you have to choose. Maybe getting a sneaky completion run, but when you go for 100% exploration, I honestly urge everybody to explore Abyss before they do explore 6.4. And I think that will do. Boss fights are relatively easier, better. The path structure is good, I like it, with the mini boss at the end. 6 paths every map, also structured like that. The paths themselves, I think I'm slowly kind of learning for most part, except then they take 2 steps backwards with that stings and the special connoisseur nodes and a couple others. And yeah, I think Kabam has done a good job, and I hope the next piece of content, I hope Act 1, the Union, follows in the footsteps of 6.4 and avoids the catastrophe of 6.2. Additionally, my biggest still hope for Act 6 obviously is that they remove the 4-star ban. I think it's unnecessary and extremely limiting. But as the time goes on, I guess it gets less and less pressing because more and more people are getting the 5 stars. But yeah, that's enough of me. Let me know what you think of 6.4 if you have already stepped your toes into it. And that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you agree with me. If you don't, that's perfectly fine. You can still hit that like button. It doesn't cost you anything. And you can share this video with your friends, alliance, teammates, everybody who you think might want to watch it. But I will personally catch you guys soon. See ya.